Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring sustainable home design. It's really amazing to think about how architecture can be such a powerful force for creating a greener future.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever wondered how we can actually build homes that are good for the planet
Mm.
and our wallets at the same time? Well, today we're going to be talking about that. We'll be uncovering some really cool solutions.
Absolutely. And you know what's so fascinating is we're not just talking about making buildings look pretty anymore. It's really about creating spaces that are good for the environment, economically viable, and contribute to a more fair and just society.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit. What does that actually look like in practice?
So just imagine a house that is built with recycled materials, and it's designed to use less energy and water. But not just that, it's built to last for a really long time and can also be adapted for different uses as things change down the line. That's kind of what we call the triple bottom line. Good for the planet, good for your bank account, and good for the community.
So it's not just about getting a cool-looking house. You're getting a home that is built for the long haul. And it's actually, benefiting everyone. I'm already intrigued. So, when architects are approaching this idea of sustainable design, what are some of the key things that they're thinking about?
So they're considering the entire life cycle of the building, from the materials that are used to how much energy it consumes and even how it could be repurposed later on.
So it's like a much bigger picture than just the initial build.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wow. What kind of materials are we talking about here?
Well, think about things like recycled steel, sustainably harvested bamboo, even innovative ways to capture and reuse rainwater.
So some homes are even designed to be easily disassembled and reused.
Yeah.
So like building with giant eco-friendly Legos.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You can save money on those energy bills, create a healthier indoor environment for you and your family, and minimize your impact on the planet, all through smart design choices.
Right, I'm sold on the concept. But let's talk about the practical side of things. How is this all actually being put into action?
Well, there's a wave of innovation happening in sustainable building right now. And one really exciting example is M.H.S. Building Systems.
M.H.S. Building Systems. Okay. I'm all ears. Tell me more.
They are a game changer. They use a modular prefabricated system with lightweight but incredibly strong aluminum framing.
So it's prefab, but with an eco-friendly twist.
You got it. And this approach tackles several environmental issues head-on. We're reducing deforestation by using less traditional timber, minimizing waste with these pre-cut components, and even promoting what's called a circular economy, because these materials can be reused over and over again.
Hold on, what exactly is a circular economy?
That's a great question. It's about keeping materials in use for as long as possible. Instead of things ending up in a landfill, they're designed to be reused or repurposed. Think of it like a continuous loop, rather than a straight line from production to disposal.
Oh, that makes sense. So with MHS, the building materials themselves are part of this loop. That's a pretty powerful concept. But you said that MHS is just one example, right? What other exciting innovations are happening in sustainable building materials?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are tons. There's a whole world of incredible materials emerging. Take bamboo, for example. It's incredibly fast growing, which makes it a highly renewable resource. It's also super strong and versatile, perfect for everything from flooring to structural beams.
Wow. So bamboo is like the superhero of sustainable building materials. What about reclaimed wood? I've seen some gorgeous homes using salvaged lumber. It adds so much character.
You're right. Reclaimed wood is fantastic. It reduces demand for newly harvested timber, and it adds that unique rustic charm you mentioned. And then there are advanced insulation options like, structural insulated panels.
Okay. SIPs. What's so special about them?
Think of SIPs as super insulated sandwiches for your walls and roof. They're prefabricated panels with a core of insulating foam, making them incredibly energy efficient. You know how frustrating it is to get those sky-high energy bills in the winter?
Oh, yeah.
SIPs can drastically reduce your heating and cooling costs, which is good for the planet and your wallet.
So SIPs are like giving your house a warm, cozy hug. I'm all about that. And what about those zero energy solutions you mentioned earlier? Homes that generate their own power. That sounds almost futuristic.
It's becoming more and more achievable. Advances in solar technology, combined with energy-efficient design, are making zero-energy homes a reality. Imagine living in a house that produces as much energy as it consumes, even sending that excess power back to the grid.
That's incredible. And I love how these innovations benefit everyone. It's not just about saving the planet. It's about creating homes that are healthier, more comfortable, and more affordable to live in. But it's not just about individual homes, is it? We
Yeah.
have to think bigger about creating entire sustainable communities.
You hit the nail on the head. We need to look at the bigger picture. How individual homes fit into a larger sustainable ecosystem. That involves thoughtful urban planning that prioritizes green spaces, efficient public transportation, and responsible resource management.
So walkable neighborhoods, accessible parks, and less reliance on cars. That sounds like a dream.
Exactly. And it's not just about creating new neighborhoods. We also need to think about revitalizing existing ones through what's called adaptive reuse.
Adaptive reuse, what's that?
It's about finding creative ways to repurpose old buildings. Instead of tearing them down and starting from scratch, imagine turning a historic factory into a vibrant community center, or transforming an abandoned warehouse into loft apartments.
That's so much cooler than just building another generic high-rise. And it prevents perfectly good structures from ending up in a landfill.
Right. It's about maximizing the lifespan of what we already have, which is a key principle of sustainable design. And of course, we can't forget about the elephant in the room, climate change. We need to design homes and communities that are resilient to the impacts of a changing climate, whether it's extreme weather events, rising sea levels, or resource scarcity.
So stronger structures, innovative water management systems, and designs that can adapt to changing conditions. It sounds like sustainable design is about being proactive and finding solutions for a future that's going to look very different from the present.
That's exactly it. It's about thinking long term, considering the full life cycle of a building and its impact on the environment and the community.
All of this is so inspiring, but I have to admit, it also feels a little overwhelming. Like, where do I even begin to make a difference?
That's a great question, and one we hear a lot. The good news is there are tangible steps everyone can take, whether you're building a new home, renovating an existing one, or simply looking for ways to live more sustainably.
Okay, I'm ready for action. What can listeners do to get involved?
Well, if you're planning to build or renovate, do your research and choose architects and builders who prioritize sustainable practices. Ask about things like energy-efficient design, sustainable materials, and water conservation strategies.
So don't be afraid to ask questions. And make sure your values align with the professionals you're working with. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of small changes. Even if you're not building a home from scratch, there are things you can do to make your current home more sustainable.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Start by swapping out old appliances for energy-efficient models. Look for the Energy Star label. That's a great indicator of energy savings.
I know those labels can be confusing.
Yeah.
It's good to have a clear benchmark to look for. What else?
Think about your lighting. Switch to LED bulbs. They use significantly less energy and last much longer.
I've actually been meaning to do that. I always forget until one of my bulbs burns out.
And little things add up. Consider installing a programmable thermostat to optimize heating and cooling, and choose low VOC paints to reduce indoor air pollution.
Wait, low VOC paints. What's VOC stand for?
VOC stands for volatile organic compounds. They're chemicals released from some paints and other household products that can impact air quality and health.
Ah, so low VOC paints are the healthier option. Good to know. This is all great advice for homeowners. But what about people who are renting? Can they still make a difference?
Absolutely. Even if you don't own your home, you can still make sustainable choices. Look for energy-saving practices like using less water, unplugging electronics when not in use, and choosing eco-friendly cleaning products.
So it's about being mindful of our consumption habits, no matter where we live.
Precisely. And don't forget the power of advocacy. Let your landlord know you're interested in sustainable upgrades. You might be surprised at how receptive they are.
That's a great reminder. We can all be agents of change, even if we're not in a position to make major renovations ourselves.
Exactly. And remember, education is key. The more we understand about sustainable design, the more empowered we are to make informed choices.
Okay, so where can listeners go to learn more about this stuff? Where can they find resources and connect with others who are passionate about sustainable living? There are so many great resources out there. Where would you recommend our listeners start?
Well, a great place to start is the U.S. Green Building Council. They've got tons of information on sustainable building practices, certifications, and resources for homeowners and professionals alike.
U.S. Green Building Council. Got it. What else?
The American Institute of Architects is another excellent resource. They offer continuing education courses for architects focused on sustainability, and they advocate for policies that support green building.
Okay, so for architects who want to become leaders in sustainable design, they should definitely check out the AIA. What about resources that are more geared towards everyday people, people who maybe aren't building a house from scratch, but still want to make their homes and lives more sustainable?
Local environmental groups are a fantastic resource. They often host workshops, events, and educational programs on topics like energy efficiency, water conservation, and sustainable living. Plus, they're a great way to connect with like-minded folks in your community who are passionate about these issues.
It's amazing how much information and support is out there. It makes me feel hopeful knowing that so many people are working towards a more sustainable future. It's really a movement, isn't it?
It really is. And the more we talk about it, the more we share these ideas, the faster that transition will happen. Think about it. What if sustainable design wasn't just a niche interest, but the norm? What if every new building, every renovation, every design decision was made with the planet and future generations in mind?
Well, that's a powerful thought. What kind of world could we create if we made that shift?
We could dramatically reduce carbon emissions from the building sector, create healthier living environments, and build communities that are more resilient to the impacts of climate change. It's about creating a world where our built environment works in harmony with nature, not against it.
That's a vision worth striving for. And it starts with all of us, right? Making conscious choices, educating ourselves, advocating for change. It's not about being perfect. It's about taking those small steps, those everyday actions that add up to something much bigger.
I love that. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And it's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in building a better future. Whether you're an architect designing innovative buildings, a homeowner making energy-efficient upgrades, or simply choosing to bike instead of drive, every action matters.
This has been such an insightful and inspiring conversation. We've covered so much ground today, from the nitty-gritty of sustainable materials to the broader vision of creating entire sustainable communities. It feels like we've just scratched the surface, though. There's so much more to explore.
And that's the exciting part. Sustainable design is a constantly evolving field, with new innovations and ideas emerging all the time. It's a journey of discovery, and we're all in this together.
It's so true. To wrap up our deep dive today, I think the key takeaway is this. Sustainable home design isn't just about being eco-friendly. It's about creating a better way of living. It's about homes that are healthier, more efficient, more beautiful, and ultimately more joyful to live in.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that our homes and our built environment have a profound impact on our well-being, on our communities, and on the planet as a whole. It's about designing spaces that nourish us, that connect us to nature, and that inspire us to live more consciously and sustainably.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
As we go about our day today, let's all carry that thought with us. What small changes can we make? What choices can we embrace to create a more sustainable and joyful future for ourselves and generations to come?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves. And remember, there's no one right answer. The beauty of sustainable design is that it's a collaborative effort, a collective journey that we're all on together. So let's keep learning, keep innovating, and keep inspiring each other to create a world where sustainable living is simply
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into sustainable home design. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep